body issues. Let me just. So this is my body, and this is what this story is about. And it begins on May 21st, when I went to the urgent care section of the UBC hospital because I had been having recurring chest pain, and this was worrying to me because generally that's a sign of like something that's going to kill you, like a heart attack. And my family has a history of high cholesterol and heart disease, and also alcoholism, but that's unrelated. And anyways, I was at the hospital, and it was made somewhat less worrying and somewhat more worrying by the fact that a year before I had had a case of myocarditis, which is a affliction in which after a viral illness, the sac that your heart is inflamed. The cardiologist explained it to me like if you have a grapefruit in a grocery bag, and that's your heart in your pericardium, there's supposed to be a bunch of lube in there. And when you have myocarditis, there isn't, and it's irritating to your heart. But I recovered, but I thought I might have it again, and then I went to the hospital. I went to urgent care, like I was saying a few months ago, and they did some testing and concluded that I did not have myocarditis. So I just had a mysterious recurring chest pain, and they had no idea what was going on. And they told me to go home, and if it didn't get better, maybe to come back. Canadian healthcare. Anyways, so I did come back when it didn't get better, and they said, well, there are a number of things in your chest, all of which can cause you pain. There are your lungs, which are about here. They're shaped sort of like little pyramids that are leaning together to kiss each other. And then, so they can have things like little air bubbles in them that pop and hurt. The pain I was feeling, just so you guys all can feel it too, what I want you to do is take your finger and put it on your chest and press. It's kind of uncomfortable. And like, anyways, that's what I was feeling. So they said, yeah, it could be my lungs, or it could be some sort of muscular skeletal thing coming up from like my ribs. Possibly an esophageal issue, like heartburn. It's not heartburn. I know what heartburn feels like, but I don't know. Anyways, or they said it could be an anxiety disorder. I know that seems probably pretty reasonable. And or it could be coming from my heart, which is right here. And they told me to try keeping a journal. And, you know, so I would know what different sorts of things perhaps were happening when I felt the chest pain. And I did that. And then I did a bunch of internet research based on my associated symptoms and concluded that either I had adrenal cancer or an anxiety disorder or a rare form of diabetes. I haven't been back to the doctor yet because I've been very busy. But the places that the hurt happens is often around my sternum. Sometimes it sort of branches out into like other areas. Anyways, in the times of the ancient Greeks, the philosopher Ptolemy labeled this constellation Hercules. And the story of Hercules, it begins to end after he's done his labors and all the things that are in the like Hercules cartoon. But anyways, yes, Hercules, well known for his strength. Yeah, been working out. I can do like 12 sit-ups. Anyways, him and his third wife, Deianira, which means man-killer, which probably should have been a bad sign. My girlfriend's name is Kate, so I don't know what that means, but they're trying to cross a river, and Hercules' wife isn't strong enough to swim the river. Hercules is plenty strong on his own, but I guess he can't carry her because he's not that strong. And a helpful centaur offers to ferry Hercules' wife across the river for him, and Hercules says, sure, I guess being a trusting fellow. And then the centaur bolts off with his wife, and Hercules, not going to put up with that, pulls out his bow and arrow and takes aim. And his arrows, however, are poisoned with the blood of the Hydra. and this poison is so virulent that when it strikes the centaur, he immediately falls to the ground in a scream of agony. And with his last dying breath, tells Hercules' wife that she should sop up his blood and save it. And if she ever suspects that Hercules is unfaithful, the blood will rekindle their love. And Hercules' wife, also being a trusting sort, saves it in a little vial. And sometime later, there's a rumor going around that Hercules is being unfaithful. Being that she's his third wife, like, I don't know, it could happen. So what she does is she takes a shirt and she smears the blood all over it and then sends it to Hercules. And I don't know, maybe she like very carefully dyed it an even shade of red or something, but he didn't notice that it was like covered in blood. So he puts the shirt on, and as soon as it touches his skin, it sears his flesh, and so that his bone is exposed as his flesh is just burning away from the blood and the poison of the Hydra, which was still in the centaur's blood. So the centaur has achieved his revenge, and Hercules' pain is so great that he rips up a grove of trees and builds himself a funeral pyre onto which he climbs and rests his head on an arrow, and has his friend Philoctetes light the pyre, burning him to death, because the pain of burning to death is much less than that of the poison of the Hydra. And as he dies, his immortal half ascends to Olympus and he becomes a god. So I think the moral of this story is fairly clear. Gossip kills, don't do it.